Let's look at application of the partial differentiation. So in this question, a Singapore toy manufacturer believes that the profit denoted by P of the sale of a toy is related to the CPI denoted by C and the Singapore population denoted by R. The relationship between P, C and R is given as such. And in 2009, Singapore's CPI will decrease by 2%. We can then write that delta C over C will be equals to minus 2%. Similarly, Singapore's population will increase by 5%. That means that delta R over R will be equals to 5%. It is given that at the end of 2008, Singapore's CPI is 112. We can then write that C, which is the variable for CPI, is equals to 112, and Singapore's population is 4.78, and that means that R will be equals to 4.78. So you're asked to use partial differentiation to calculate how much the toy manufacturer's profit will change. This means that you're actually finding delta P. So let's construct the equation for delta P first. So it is known that P is equals to this relationship. So P is depending on variables C and R. Partial P divided by partial C times the change in C plus partial P divided by partial R times the change in R. So let's find out each individual term first. So first of all, let's find out partial P over partial C. So let me rewrite the equation where P equals to e to the power of C to the power half instead of square root of C over 10. So that it's easier for me to differentiate the powers later. And I'll write the second term as 1 over e to the power 8 times RC squared. So to find partial P over partial C, so this means I'm differentiating P with respect to C, where R is a constant. So differentiating e to the power of C to the power half over 10. So differentiating C to the power half over 10 will then give me 1 over 10, and I'll bring down the power half, and C to the power of half minus 1. And I'll just copy back the exponential function. So that's for the first term. For the second term, R is a constant, so I'm only differentiating C squared. So this will then give me 2C. So that's what I have. With that, let me substitute the value of C and R. So substituting R and C inside, pressing the calculator, partial P over partial C will then be equals to the value you see on the screen. So as such, this first value will then be 0.3728. I'll now need to find delta C. So delta C over C to be equals to minus 2%, which is then actually minus 0.02. So delta C will then be equals to minus 0.02 times C, and C is found to be 112. So this value gives me minus 2.24. So I'll write this as negative 2.24. For that, I need to find partial P over partial R. So to find partial P over partial R, I'm keeping C a constant, thus differentiating this with respect to R will then give me 0, since it's just a number as C is a constant. Plus, now I need to differentiate this with respect to R. C squared is a constant, so differentiating R will then be 1. So this will then be 1 divided by e to the power 8 times C squared. So with that, I'll substitute the value of C inside. Partial P over partial R will then be equals to 4.208. So I can write this value inside. So this is 4.208. Lastly, I need to find delta R, or the change in R. So from here, we know that delta R over R is equal to 5% or 0.05. And delta R will then be equals to 0.05 times R. R being equals to 4.78. And thus, pressing the calculator will give me 0.239. So with that, I'll substitute 0.239 inside, and this will then give me a value of 0.17 million. So this implies that the toy manufacturer's profit will increase by $0.17 million in 2009.